Hey, how's it going? Ben Stark here. If you're not familiar with me, I'm a long-time professional Magic the Gathering player. I'm in the Hall of Fame, top 85 Pro Tours, and today I'm here to bring you a deck tech. We're going to be looking at Explorer White Weenie. This, in my opinion, is the best deck in both Explorer and Pioneer. They're pretty similar at this point. And so let me show you this deck. If you're not familiar with it, it is very heavily played, probably like I said, I consider it the best deck. Most people probably would say mono green and then this. I think Thalia's Lieutenant is the best card in the deck. This card is broken. If it wasn't like a little creature, if it was some kind of combo piece, it would get banned. It is like it grows to a huge creature while pumping everything else you have in play. It's the reason this is a tier 1, possibly the best deck. Pretty much never board these out, and it's the key card. After that, the next best cards in the deck are Adeline. This card's really powerful. It's hard to kill. It leaves a 1/1 token behind, even if they do. Thalia is really disruptive against combo decks and control decks. And then, other than that, it's just a bunch of supporting cast, like little white weenie creatures that, kind of their synergy with Thalia's Lieutenant and Adeline really make them good. So you can almost view this as a combo deck, and these are your key cards, Lieutenant and Adeline, and then the rest of these little creatures kind of enhance them and power them up. And Brave the Elements is a really strong card against one-color decks. I think that it's the reason this deck was created in the first place, to combat mono green, because if you Brave green, you just deal them 10 and kill them almost every time. So that's the deck, and let's take it for a spin. See what people are playing in the Explorer queues. The new season just started for February. Three lands is good. Your 2 and 3 are the amount of lands you're really hoping to draw with this deck. 1-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop isn't the best, but we're on the play. I don't really think we're going to mold this. You do want to mull somewhat aggressively with the stack, but it's mostly to avoid flood. Like, I mull every 5-lander and some 4-landers, but 2 and 3 lands are pretty much the magic number. And we got pretty lucky. We drew a 2-drop here on turn 2. Worth noting that if you have other stuff to do, you generally want to play your Thalia's Lieutenants close to the end. You're a lot more interested in pumping more creatures with it than you are it growing bigger. Like I said, that's kind of what makes it broken, is that, like, it leaves all those +1/+1 counters behind. It's like a Glorious Anthem that they have to answer, but then when they do answer it, you still get the Glorious Anthem part. It's a really, really great card. So Grease Fang combo, which is what we're up against, is actually one of the few bad matchups for this deck. You can't really stop them from doing the reanimation thing. You don't have instant removal. So, like, if they play Grease Fang here, they're going to get Parhelion. Now, in this case, because we were on the play with a pretty good draw, we might still be able to sneak in victory. The Parhelion's going to leave 2 angels behind. They are white. So we can Brave white here and then deal them 7, but 7's not 8. So we need to draw a 1-drop white creature here, like any 1-drop, and then we'll have lethal. Because now we can go and pump our Thalia's Lieutenant, and then we can Brave and deal them exactly 8. For the turn 4 win, beating their turn 3 reanimation. That was pretty nice. And while we did get a little lucky there, I mean, people don't just get to have turn 3 Parhelion every time with that deck, or it would be the best deck. And if you were thinking we had it before the 1-drop, Mutavault is not white. So Brave affects all your white creatures, but they would have been able to block the Mutavault with the angels. We needed one more power on our Thalia's Lieutenant to be able to lethal them. Okay, this is a really good hand. This is one of the best type hands you can get with this deck. I think the best hand with this deck is 3 1-drops, Thalia's Lieutenant, and 2 lands, and any 7th card, basically. That's your broken draw. That's what you're really hoping to see. And we're going to lead the 2-power one, not a 1-power one. And then this time, we'll play 2 more 1-drops. And this hand is really going to showcase the power. I mean, not that the last game didn't when we killed the opponent turn 4 when they reanimated on turn 3, but I mean, this is practically not even fair, right? It's the third turn of the game, and we're attacking them for 9, and it looks like the opponent agrees. That was a surprise quick concession there, but I mean, they were dead. That's just like, it's like we're playing a different format than them when we get that draw on the play. Now, we have played first both of the games we've seen so far. The play is really important with this deck, I'm not going to lie to you. It's an aggro deck all the way. You don't win long games very often. Once in a while, you can like activate your recruitment officers and flip your brutal Cathars. But for the most part, you need to be on the aggressive. So this hand is going to surprise some people. I'm going to mulligan. So if I had a 1-drop in a 4-lander with a Mutavault and like a 2-drop and a 3-drop, I would keep. But while I talked about how Thalia's Lieutenant is the best card in the deck, it's the best card in the deck to pump your whole team like we saw last game. It's not great if you're playing it on pumping one thing. And we're on the draw. We need a 1-drop. We have to get our aggression going. And I just don't think that we're going to beat many decks if we go turn 2, 2 power, turn 3 out of line, attack for 3 if we're lucky, turn 4 Thalia's Lieutenant. Like, you know, and if they had 1 removal, that's a broken hand. So I'm going to mulligan and try and find a better hand. Okay, I mean, this hand's a little better. It's not perfect. You know, I'm going to put back the Brave, which will give us the 3 lands we need to go 1-drop, 1-drop, 3-drop. And I don't think that we're a favorite on the draw after a mulligan with a hand like this, but I like our chances better than if we had kept the previous hand. So hoping for some good draws here. If we can get a Thalia's Lieutenant or a Luminarch Aspirant to put a counter on that recruitment officer, make it a better attacker. That's not super helpful. Although our opponent looks to be on something a little unconventional here, like an Enchantress type deck. See what they're up to. I guess I could have played a Plains if I wanted a Brave to save it from removal. I didn't play the Mutavault frivolously. Mutavault has to be in play for a turn before it can attack. Even though it's a land, it's still affected by Summoning Sickness if you turn it into a creature. So I'm not sure if that play was right or wrong. If we don't draw a Brutal Cathar, I don't think we're going to beat the 6/6 card drawing machine now, though, either way. No real choices here. Hopeful Initiate, if we can get some counters on some creatures, might be able to kill enchantments. But Kami of Transience is not an enchantment itself anyway. We could just knock off the 6th Sense. And, of course, we don't have counters on our creatures, and I wasn't going to play Hopeful Initiate instead of Adeline there. So let's see. Yeah, that's an 11/9 Trampler. Alright, well, maybe we can draw Brutal Cathar, right? If we draw Brutal Cathar, the game's not over. I guess I could throw all my blockers in front of that thing and then, like, Brave or something like that. So Adeline, it has Vigilance, so it's going to be able to attack here and make a 1/1. So that's going to give it 4 power. Plus, like, if I play, like, these, it'll have 6 power, 8, 9. Yeah, we can put enough in front of that to kill it. I don't even really have to hold back the recruitment officer. There is the question of, will we die? This has trample now. 4, 6, like 7. I mean, we can put enough toughness in front of it. It just isn't pretty. So I guess that's what we're going to do. The deal 4 wouldn't really help us much because we need to put a bunch of toughness in front of that to not die anyway. We need 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can't really attack with anything besides Adeline. They said good game. They've probably got something to beat us, but I don't think we're dead on board. I think we're going to lose, but... I mean, if I kill the Kami here and go pro-green... Well, that might make it too much. It is trample because of this this one enchantment that I can't get through the stack. Audacity here. Okay, they were right. They have enough. This is just super lethal now. 21 points of trample damage. Congratulations. That was pretty sweet. So it's tougher to win on the draw. But, you know, if we had a Brutal Cathar to take care of that one Kami, that would have been a good game, and we might have been able to win. And I'm doing the 1 Skyclave Apparition along with 4 Brutal Cathars, so that's 5 ways in the main deck to be able to take out a big threat. Two lands. So this one, we don't have a 1-drop, but with 2 lands on the play and all of this power, I don't think we can mull this. I do mulligan a lot of hands without 1-drops. You really need to start on turn 1 with this deck. I've seen some lists that play 11 1-drops, but I'm playing the full 12, and I think that's definitely correct. That said, do we want to mull this one on the play? I don't think so. We have turn 2 Aspirant to start growing, and then if we draw 1 land to play Adeline, we can attack, make a 1/1, and then start Thalia's Lieutenanting. I will mulligan, like, if my 4-lander doesn't have a 1-drop, you know, if it's a dicey hand, but this hand looks pretty solid. But I really do mean it. You do want to mulligan aggressively to 1-drops and to having the right number of lands with this deck. This is an aggro deck. You're not looking to play, you're not attrition, you're not trading 1 for 1. You're kind of like a combination between a combo deck and an aggro deck in that you win through aggression, but the power comes from the way your cards all like synergize together. So you need to have a good hand. You can't be flooded or this deck is abysmal. It does nothing when it's flooded. You need to just kind of have the right amount of creatures, like a couple of 1-drops, a Thalia's Lieutenant, an Adeline. You know, you don't have to have everything perfect. But all those cards, like, feed off each other. Like I said, it's like your 1-drops power your Adelines and Thalia's Lieutenants. And, like, Brave for the win is not going to work if you didn't deal them a bunch of damage. Like, you really want to mulligan very aggressively with this deck. So I Brutal Cathard Ledger Shudder last turn because playing Adeline on an empty board isn't great anyway. You don't get the 1/1 that turn. And I didn't want to let them start triggering it. You know, growing it bigger and digging through your deck and discarding their Arclight Phoenixes. Now that we have the Adeline out, a 1/1, I'll be looking to dump these Thalia's Lieutenants and go into closeout mode. And even if they play and bring back these 2 Phoenixes, this is still a game we can win. I'm not saying we're definitely going to win, but we could win. They weren't able to bring back the Phoenixes, so now this game's over. Just going to double Lieutenant here, and they might concede. I don't think that even if they bring back any number of Phoenixes, they're going to beat that. So as you can see, like when we're winning, we're mostly just like pouring stuff into play. You know, you use Brutal Cathar to remove like 1 key blocker. You use Thalia's Lieutenant and Adeline, like I talked about during the the deck portion, where like those are your power cards. You know, that's where your value really comes from. I hardly ever board out I never board out Thalia's Lieutenant if you're playing best of 3 with sideboarding. And I only board out I never board out all 4 Adelines ever either, but sometimes I'll take out like 1 or 2 just to make room for other 3-drops because you don't want to have too many 3-drops. But, so if you're boarding in 3-mana cards, but I mean, as a whole, those are the best cards in the deck. Those are the cards your deck revolves around. So this is a beautiful 1-lander, and we're on the draw. I mean, I hate to keep a 1-lander, but I don't know. Well, the Sheffet Dunes is going to be pinging us too, and we're on the draw. So if they have anything aggressive, we're just going to lose. That said, if we kept it and we draw 1 Plains, this is a pretty good hand, but I don't think we should keep the 1-lander. Okay, so this is much better. Just going to put back a Sheffet Dunes, leaving us with 2 lands. I didn't realize the castle's not going to come to play on tap. That might have been a mistake to keep it. Well, I didn't get punished. Nice turn 1 Plains. I could have kept double Sheffet Dunes, and then I'd have turn 1 land, turn 2 land on tap, which is probably worth it. Of course, those both ping you every time you cast a white spell, so that's kind of rough. But we didn't get punished, luckily, anyway. So this is like green. I mean, it's not mono green because they have Overgrown Tomb, but sometimes people splash cards or play a few off lands. So this is the deck that Tomic's actually for, so I'm going to play it here. It prevents Kiora from untapping your lands. I'm going to attack Kiora even though it has a lot of loyalty because this deck's kind of also like a combo deck. It's not like... we're not going to be able to rush them for lethal with this hand. Our hand is not very aggressive. So if we can knock Kiora off the board, that will take down their mana production and Nithos loyalty, or Nithos ability to make mana based on loyalty if they draw that. But so what Atomic does is its lands on the battlefield and lands in graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities the opponent controls. So now they can't like make 1,000,000 mana, untap it with Kiora, and make 1,000,000 more. They can only use it once. So that's why Atomic is in here for green. Atomic's not an incredible card, but being a legend lowers the cost of Iganjo activation, which is pretty valuable. Flying is pretty valuable. You know, people clog up the ground a lot, but in the air you can always attack and you pump your creatures. All in all, I think it's a nice one. It's definitely one of the weaker cards in the deck. I board it out a lot, but I've been pretty happy with it in one of those last main deck spots. Okay, here I think pretty much a no-brainer to play Adeline now. We'll get our 1/1. We can't really kill Nissa yet, but we can attack Kiora for 5, which means they're forced to either trade off the Llanowar Elf with our 1/1 or lose Kiora. And then hopefully next turn we can threaten Nissa. What did they do with Nissa? It doesn't look like they have a land. Did they just not make a land into a 3/3? I mean, they plussed it. I think it comes in on 5 and it's got 6. They just choose not to make a land into a 3/3. I didn't even know you could do that. Up to 1. I guess. Maybe they didn't want me to Brutal Cathar land or something. It's kind of a weird play. Well, Cavaliers have reach, so this is going to be tough now. If we draw a Brave, we might be able to sneak in a win. Otherwise, I don't know what we're going to do. Double Cavalier was pretty rough for us there. I think we're probably going to lose. This matchup is very proactive. Like, you don't really interact with them that well, and they don't really interact with you that well. So the player on the play does win a large percentage of the time. I think this matchup's overall in White Winnie's favor, but it's like, you're a small favorite. It's hard to win games on the draw. So another Legendary Adeline's not going to do it. I can grow Atomic twice, so it'll be a 4/5, still not big enough to attack into the Cavaliers. Yeah, this one is completely over. I guess I'll give it to Adeline. So if they want to kill it, they have to double block it. They're just going to do that. I could send these two, I guess. Maybe this is slightly profitable. I don't know. This was almost certainly not the exact right attack. I'm basically ready to concede this game. But I'm glad you get to see this game because, like I said, green versus white is basically like the staple matchup in Explorer and Pioneer now, in my opinion. And this is normal. I mean, if you imagine, like, I was on the play, those Planeswalkers would have died and been way less effective, and we would have probably won this game. And, like, Brutal Cathar is one of your best cards in this matchup because they can't remove it, and they rely on big things, and we didn't draw one. So, like, this is, you know, but for them having a good hand on the play, this is about how it should go. And, you know, if you're on the play with a good hand, then usually you can keep them off their stuff and then just attack them and Brave for the win. But, okay, they got it. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a lot. I think it's a really sweet deck. I would recommend White Weenie for any tournament, unless you expect a lot of Angels players, because that matchup's near unwinnable, but it's pretty good against everything else. Good luck in your upcoming tournaments, and I'll see you next time.